Hi everyone. How many of you have been to Sam's presentation? Okay, so you're going to hear something twice, but it's from a different angle, and I'm going to talk about real-life statistics, real-life stories. I'm Orly from SafeDK. We provide an end-to-end management solution for SDK, software development kits. First, how many of you are app developers? Okay, how many of you are SDK developers? The rest. Okay, so you all are going to know what I'm going to talk about and what Sam was talking about. Just so we will be aligned with the terms, when app developers develop their application, they don't need to reinvent the wheel. They can focus on their own application logic and can use off-the-shelf services called SDKs. We all know about them: the analytics, the advertisement, in-app purchase, in-app billing, everything that Sam talked about before. If we were talking a year ago, I would say there are 13 SDKs on average in an Android average app. 6 months ago, I would say it's 15 SDKs on average. But today, I'm going to tell you there are 17 SDKs on average in Android application. We have published in VentureBeat a huge, very extensive Android mobile SDKs data report. You can read it over there. So 17 SDKs on average. The winners are, there is an app called Wishbone with 60 SDKs, 60 third-party components that you need to manage and have all the risks that I'm going to talk about later on. Some more interesting statistics about SDKs. These are all from our next report. We had the previous one in May this year. This one is going to be published next month. You see here the popular SDKs categories. The most popular one is analytics. It's not surprising. Everyone wants to know what's happening in their application. You want to analyze your users' behavior. The second one is ad networks, advertising, monetization. Of course, you want to monetize your application. This is why we all here. Social networks, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc., etc. We have the crash reporting that I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in a second. Crash reporting tools like Crashlytics and FIREBASE, and we have Intelligence. And you can see here the penetration of the big industry players. Crashlytics is free service for crash reporting. It's part of Twitter Fabric Mega SDK. But you can see a new kid on the block, the FIREBASE crash reporting. It's also a free tool for crash reporting. It wasn't in our previous report, by the way. So it's gaining a real momentum in here. Very interesting. If you're interested in this, you can also see in our app X-Ray. We have in our safedk.com/X-Ray. You can type in any Android application and you get the full list of its SDKs. So you can just look for your application or similar application, competition, famous application, and you can see which SDKs are the most popular ones. So great. We've seen everyone is using SDKs. It's been a huge increase in the usage of SDKs. It's all fine and dandy. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that once you integrate an SDK, you become responsible for it. And you become responsible for it in the eyes of Google and in the eyes of Apple and, of course, in the eyes of your users. So if the SDK is crashing your app, it's slowing you down, it's your responsibility. The users will just uninstall your application in a second. And what risks that we have identified in SafeDK? The first domain is security and privacy. Let me just dig into this specific risk. What you see in here is the dark side of permission, we call it. Why? Because once the SDK is integrated inside your application, it actually gets the same permission as your application. So if you as a user, you're a very advanced user, you grant permission to access the location, the files, the accounts of your device on your device, so do the 17 SDKs that are on average in an Android app get the same permission. So they can access the location and the files and the contacts that you just grant permission to. And many of them we see in the static analysis of the code of the SDKs, we see many cases like the first one and the second one, where SDKs are just asking, does the application have permission to access the location? If so, go to the GPS, please bring me the location of the user. Does the application have permission to go to the account, the email account of the user? If so, please bring me the account of the email account of the user. Now they are sending it to third party, to servers, sometimes encrypted, sometimes unencrypted, but this is actually the case. And you as an app developer are responsible for these cases. A little bit more about permissions, again, from our data report. You can see here what are the permissions that the SDKs are actually publishing that they need. So, of course, it's not a surprise that many of the SDKs are trying to access the network. I'm surprised it's not 100% of the SDKs, actually, and it's cool. 15% are trying to access the files of the users, and they are publishing it, so it's fine. But what we discovered in SafeDK, that almost 70% of the SDKs are trying to access the list of used installed application on your devices. Now, this doesn't require a permission in Android. You need to put it in the privacy policy, but a lot of times you just don't know it as an app developer. And 40% of the apps contain SDKs that are trying to access the list of your installed apps. So probably you have some application that is trying to do so. More of 9% of the SDKs are trying to access your email account. And this is very interesting because what we see here, it's only 4% of the SDKs are actually saying they are going to access the PIM, the personal information, which account is part of this personal information. But 9% is actually accessing your email account without even telling you this. Now, this is a very interesting fact. Actually, it's a scary fact where almost 6% of the SDK is trying to use your microphone in your phone devices. So, interesting. Cases from last year, we saw Google just banned 155 apps with the Trojan horse with a malicious SDK in it. Apple banned 250 apps because of SDK that tried to access private user data. 18,000 Android applications had an integrated SDK that tried to steal the SMSs of the users. Amazing story. Baidu SDK, the Google Chinese, very popular SDKs. It had actually a backdoor in it, so you can just you can hijack the device of the user and you can remote control the device of the user. Amazing. And some Chinese mobile ad library tried to use the microphone in order to record the user. Very nice story. This is just the tip of the ice, by the way. This one is a Russian SDK. It's called Bad News. I don't know why anyone would integrate an SDK called Bad News, but it's impersonated to be a legit ad networks. It actually injected malware to the devices. It was integrated in over 2 million devices already, 32 apps. Google, again, banned all the apps that use this SDK, but the harm was done already. Another sad case is a Chinese company called Baby Bus. They weren't malicious. They have a lot of kids application, and they used analytics SDKs, which was unmaliciously collecting the location of the users. So what is the problem? The problem is that under 13 years old, for your users, you cannot collect the location without the consent of the parents. Again, the entire portfolio of this company was banned from the Google Play Store for a while, just because of an SDK that collected location. So even if the app code was extremely well written and no collection of location or any private information about the users, the third-party component caused this to happen. Now, we talked about security risk, privacy risk. We also talked about compliance to some regulations. Let's talk about user experience. SDKs are code. They can have bugs. They can have, well, we saw it, they can crash, they can slow down. Let's see some real-life stories. This story has a very warm place in my heart. This one got us the seed round, actually, of our startup. We show how could we handle this case with our platform. It's a very, very big news company in Israel. They integrated in an SDK, an ad network SDK, which one day just upgraded the SDK features, and they added a feature, actually a bug. When the SDK is identifying a shake device of the user, a shake of the device, it pops up the advertisement. Now imagine yourself, you're reading the news, you go here, you go there, you go on a train, you go on a bus, and boom, you have the advertisement in front of you. They got a lot of complaints, a lot of phone calls, and they had to fix the problem somehow. Lawyers were involved. So this is one case. Who's slowing you down? SDKs can slow your application down. This is a real screenshot from our dashboard. We are showing actually the contribution of each SDK to the start time of the application. And what you can see in here is a real customer dashboard where you can see the application code contributes only 33% of the application start time, and the rest are SDKs. This is really unwanted situation. Now you can see two very bad SDKs, the orange one and the blue ones, and what you can see there is that they are taking almost 30% of the application each. Now we had to analyze the situation, why is it happening? And what we saw is that these two SDKs, when the app is launched, they are extracting a zip file with the rest of the code in it. And this extraction operation takes long time. Now, over the time, we saw that the picture is a little bit different. We saw that the blue SDK keeps delaying the startup of the application. It takes actually almost 40% of the application's start time, but the orange one got better. Now, why is this? We also analyzed the situation. What we saw is that the orange SDK is just checking. Did I already extract the code? If so, don't extract again. So it takes longer only on the first app launch. The blue SDK doesn't check this. So in every app launch, it extracts the code again and again. Who's crashing your party? Again, this is a real customer, real dashboard of customer crash report only for SDKs. We had to give it for the full picture, complementary to Crashlytics and friends. And what you see in here that in one day, our customer had an SDK that crashed the app over 100K times. Now, this is an SDK, very famous, very popular SDK around the globe, by the way, and it happened one day. It was because of some Google change in the code, in WebView, by the way. If anyone wants to hear the details, I'm here afterwards. Another funny story, this is kids application with, you see, e-cigarettes advertisements. It's coming from the ad network. You can control the advertisements in your application. You can say, I don't want porn, I don't want gambling, but you can control them all. So, and I'm sure nobody wants this. Nobody, not the parents, not the users, not the ad networks, and not the developer. But it happens. When Google introduced Marshmallow last year, they introduced the new runtime permission model. I'm sure you're all aware of it. And a lot of SDKs just crashed the application because they weren't compliant with the new runtime permission model where users can revoke a permission in the middle of the runtime of the application. So SDKs they just didn't know how to handle this situation. So again, you want to build an app. Are we saying just don't use SDKs? No, that's not the case. We're seeing an increase in the usage of SDKs, and we're saying it's fine, use SDK. You're not going to write everything by your own, of course. Look at this. So what can you do about it? You can write everything by your own, but you probably don't have the resources. You are a startup, young startup. You don't even have the knowledge. And there are companies that are doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm sure they're doing a great job. So you can't write it down by yourself. You can use only the popular SDKs, only the Google, only the Facebook, only the ones that everyone is using. That's okay, but sometimes you need some more. You need augmented reality technology. It's not something that is so popular now. So you need more and more advanced capabilities. You want to try the new kid on the block. You're an early adopter, and you just can't do it because you don't know the effect of it. And you can ask friends, of course, and it's great. You can ask forums. You can ask Stack Overflow. Great. But what we offer in SafeDK, we offer you the entire value chain of knowing which SDKs and what the SDKs are doing in your app. So first one, we have the in-app protection. We provide full visibility of what the SDKs are doing in your application in real time, who's crashing your app, who's slowing you down, who access private user information. We also provide the proactive solution once you find a malicious behavior or you find some problematic behavior, crashes, etc. You can just switch off an SDK remotely, and it populates the entire user base. I'll show it in a minute. We also have the SafeDK marketplace. In safedk.com, you can find the largest database today for SDKs with ratings and reviews. I really encourage you to go there and rate the SDKs that you know of and improve the marketplace, improve the help other developers know which SDK they should use. And of course, we have the App X-Ray that I showed before, where you can see which SDKs are being used by famous or similar application as your own. Let's see our in-app protection. We offer a plugin to Android Studio and Installer for Xcode, or you can also plug and just drag and drop your application to our website. And then what you get a list of the SDKs immediately, automatically. We don't need to know in advance which SDKs you have. You can see the rating from our marketplace for each SDK, so you see if you're using high-quality SDKs. And we are also showing a very important thing. We show you the unused SDKs in your app, which increase the methods count, which increase the size of your application. It's just a legacy code that you have, and you don't really use it. Now, for each of the SDKs, as I said before, we are showing the live data. In the live data stream, we are showing actually the start time of the application, the contribution of each SDK for the start time of the application, the crashes, the location access. You can compare between SDKs, the network consumption, and many, many more. We also show you the ads, the banners, and interstitials inside your application, which one is, which are the ones that are showing. And we don't only provide the information and the alerts about bad behavior of an SDK. We also provide the ability to switch off a malicious or problematic SDK, as I said before. And it happens immediately. You don't have to resubmit the application to the Play Store or the App Store. You can do it in a smart way. You can switch off an SDK only for specific devices or specific countries, specific Android versions, from Marshmallow and App or from Lollipop and Down, for example, for specific devices. And one more interesting thing that we provide is the ability to not only switch off the entire SDK, but you can switch off specific permissions for specific SDKs. So, for example, in this example, we switch off only the camera permission and the microphone permission only for this specific SDK. The rest of the application, the rest of the SDKs won't be affected at all. And again, it happens immediately in a click of a button. Now, we have a saying in SafeDK, whenever you're throwing a great party, be careful that your guests are not spiking a punch. Thank you very much.
So do you guys provide like an API that SDK developers use instead of like the native API, or do you, like how do you, if I'm calling an API method of an SDK and you turn it off, right, I'm expecting like a result from an API method or something.
Yeah, this is our parenthetic technology actually.
Okay.
But as an identifier, we use the package name in Android and something else in iOS. More questions? Yeah.
So I'm intrigued by that part where you were saying you turn off the entire SDK. I guess similar to the question, and you don't have to resubmit the app. So are you guys integrated in the Google Play Store somehow? Like how?
No, we're, as I said before, we're plugging. We're a meta SDK. We wrap the SDKs inside your application. We have them body in your application. Okay, thank you very much.